Arnaud Bertrand is an entrepreneur and political analyst on economics and geopolitics. He founded various companies such as House Trip and Me and QI. He has published articles in numerous political journals around the world about geopolitics and economics and wars. He is an archaeologist who has a doctorate in sinology, which is specializing in relations between the Chinese and the rest of the world, including Central Asia. And going back to antiquity, he's become one of the most insightful political analysts on a wide range of questions. As we told you before, it was our local subscribers who kept insisting that we invite him on, and we finally decided we should, and we were able to arrange this, and we are very certain that you will find his commentary and analysis very enlightening. Arnaud, welcome to System Update. I'm very happy to welcome you to your debut here, and I really appreciate your time talking to us tonight.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Glenn.
Sure.
Glad to be here.
Let me start with Europe and with particularly France, where I believe is your country of origin. We did several shows on the remarkable results of the EU elections, the way in which establishment centrist parties really collapsed, most commonly in giving way to a surge of support for what are called far-right populist parties that happened in places like Germany and Holland, but especially in France, where Marine Le Pen's party got 3 times the vote of current President Emmanuel Macron's more centrist establishment party. You can call it establishment, the center-right party. And you had a long analysis, a long thread about how the decision by President Macron to dissolve the French parliament and call for snap elections, which is a kind of difficult thing to understand why you would do after an election that just showed that the most popular party is Marine Le Pen's party, why you would then call another election, although I guess he was banking on the fact that people would always turn to him whenever the far right is threatening to emerge. It's looking like that's not a very good calculation according to polls, but tell us what has gone on as a result of Macron's decision. If you could give us a little bit of your insight into why you think Macron made that decision.
Sure. So, I mean, it's hard to understand exactly why he did that. The most common view in France is that he did so to throw chaos into the French political system, because he gave a very short timeline for other parties to organize themselves for the election, just 3 weeks. Actually, less than a week to choose the right candidates, to choose who will be the candidates to stand as MPs, and who to ally with, and so on, and then just 2 weeks to run a campaign. So I think his bet was that there would be so much chaos into the French political system that he would be seen as the safe choice, and he will win the election. But obviously it doesn't look that way, because the left organized very quickly. They all gathered into a new alliance that they call the Front Populaire, the Popular Front. And then the right, well, the far right, Le Pen is also very organized. There are a lot of actually she's attracting other political parties around her in a new far right alliance. So in the end, what the polls show, what we may probably end up with, is Macron's party getting completely annihilated. I think the current projection is that his party is in the lead in only 3 seats in parliament out of hundreds of seats. And so it looks like it will probably backfire big time on him.
So just to follow up on that a little bit, Marine Le Pen sort of found this protege who's a 28-year-old, basically very soft-spoken but effective advocate for her political views. He's very loyal to her, but he also kind of has this, obviously Marine Le Pen's party was perceived accurately as having been born from actual neo-Nazis or pro-Nazi ideologies, including her father, who denied the Holocaust, and she's been working on moderating the party's image, knowing that she needs to in order to win, and now she has this kind of successor. who is even more kind of appealing to people just in terms of his comportment and personality. He's not at all a kind of fire-breathing user of rhetoric. Quite the contrary. He tries to be as open and welcoming as possible, and it seems like it's working. So do you expect that her party will win and that he will end up as France's prime minister, or will there be so much support on the far left with Macron that they'll be able to stop that?
I think it is likely that the Rassemblement National, Le Pen's party, is going to win. They're leading in the polls. But it doesn't look like they will have a majority in parliament. So I think it's going to be, similar to the results of the European election, where Le Pen's party, from memory, got something like 34%. And the left parties all together, because they're in an alliance now, will get something like 30%. So then after, it will be up to Macron to decide who to pick as a prime minister, which party, either Le Pen's party, so picking Jordan Bardella, the young man you were speaking about, or someone else from the left, maybe, if they can organize into a coalition. I think, the common view in France is that he will pick if those are the results of the election, he will pick Jordan Bardella from the Rassemblement National, and he will remain as president. It will be what's called in the French political system a cohabitation, and that he will try to basically show the French public through this sort of conflictual relationship between Macron as president and a Rassemblement National government. He will try to show that, Rassemblement National is not what people were expecting, and he will try to undermine them every step of the way, so that in the next presidential elections, which are 3 years from now, people, will vote for him, well, his party again, because he can't run again. So that's what people expect. After, anything can happen.
It's kind of amazing that Macron's whole political career has been based in this promise that he is the vanguard against both the far left and the far right, but it particularly has positioned himself against Marine Le Pen, against whom he ran in the runoff in the last election. So for him now to turn to her party and select her protege as prime minister is extraordinary, even though the strategy that you're suggesting, which is kind of forcing them to be in a position where they have to govern and not just be an outsider party where all dissatisfaction benefits them, might end up working. Who knows? But let me just ask you one more question about the EU elections, in part because I think there are so many similar dynamics driving what happened in the EU to what is also shaping American politics in terms of the rise of this kind of right-wing populism. Obviously, there are differences between, say, Trump and Marine Le Pen, and certainly the AfD, which is probably the most extreme of all in Germany, and Geert Wilders. There's all differences between these ideologies and these parties, but at the same time, it seems as though what is driving a surge in support for them seems very similar to me. And so I wanted to get your sense of what you think is causing this shift of support, this rise in support for these right-wing parties. Is it just a kind of belief in the anti-immigration grievances that these parties are promoting, or is it a more kind of generalized anger toward the EU and Brussels establishment? I
think, if we take a step back, I think at the end of the day, it's a lack of trust in the system, because the French have been, it's a bit like the kind of uniparty system in the US. The French have been alternating for decades between the center-right and the center-left, basically, or the center-center, like Macron. French has been steadily declining in so many ways for decades. So the French got the impression that governments, one after the other, were simply managing decline bit by bit. Government were just, taking things away from them, and there were never anything positive being done to improve their lifestyle. So I think, and then of course they attribute that to many different things, to immigration and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, I think it stems from general incapacity of those various governments to redress this in France and progress things instead of managing decline. And that's why they turn to the only option that they haven't turned to, which is Le Pen. It's more like, we've tried everything else. Let's try this and see how it goes. After, I don't know if it's going to work, because Le Pen, in order to de-demonize her party, she's changed a lot. She's pro-NATO, pro-EU now. So she's looking more
pro-Israel.
Like,
she's pro-Israel.
Yeah, very, very pro-Israel. So she's looking more like a Meloni type character in Italy. And when you look at polls in Italy for Meloni, more people are dissatisfied with her than satisfied. So, I don't have much hope that she will manage or even attempt to significantly change things in France.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's no doubt that if someone were to ask me what is the primary source of Trump's popularity and appeal, at least among the people who support him, it would be exactly the same thing that you just described, namely a perception that the elite class, the establishment, however you want to define it, has long ago ceased caring about the interest of ordinary people, are just doing nothing to stop the decline and disintegration of the country and of economic security, the American dream. And Trump is successfully channeling that by saying, I'm the enemy of the establishment that we both hate. I mean, it seems to be a very effective weapon. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.